Okay, the
Hello,
floor
greetings
is,
to everyone.
sorry, the floor is yours.
No problem. Greetings to everyone. I extend a warm and hearty welcome to all the honorable speakers, participants, and the audiences from across India, Brazil, Iran, and other parts of the world who are present in this webinar. This is a great opportunity for a global connect. What brings us together on this online platform is a seriously concerning issue of child abuse. But first, let me introduce myself to everyone participating and present here. Today, you may identify as the moderator of this webinar. I am Omkareshwar Pandey. My 30 years of experience with a combination of multifunctional, multi-sectoral experience while working across print, television, digital, and news agency that gives me a 360-degree perspective of media business from both technical as well as commercial standpoint. I have served as group editor, managing editor, media head, and CEO in all four major media verticals in Hindi and English both. I believe that I am one of the few privileged media professionals having experience to lead media, not just in editorial, but also in looking after sales, marketing, distribution, finance, branding, technology, and administration too in this leadership roles. Presently, I am editor-in-chief and CEO of Observer Global Media Group. And today's topic of may I request all to please silent your cameras. Please put off your mic.
अभी तो लगाओ नहीं तो बहुत पानी पानी हो जाएगा.
Please close your audio. May I request the technical team also kindly switch off the mics of all participants. So friends, today's topic of webinar is child abuse, and our major focus of discussion would be India, Brazil, and Iran, and other parts of the world. We all know that menace of child abuse has increased in a great proportions throughout the world. An estimated 1 billion children, or 1 out of 2 children worldwide, suffer some part of violence each year. Over 50 million cases of abuse of the vulnerable were reported by November 2020, with 1.2 million deaths worldwide. In Brazil, in 2017, there were 126,000 cases of violence against children and teenagers, with over 21,000 deaths. Similarly, if I talk about India, according to Interpol, an estimated 2.4 million instances of online child sexual abuse were reported from India from 2017 to 2020. And 80% of these children were girls under the age of 14. We are all facing through the pandemic of COVID-19, which has greatly increased the risk of intra-family violence and online abuse. It has raised huge concerns for the mental health of an entire generation of children and young people, parents, and also the caregivers.
Fun, no?
But
No,
the pandemic may
Pranaya.
represent only the tip of a mental health iceberg.
But
An
you told
iceberg we have ignored for far too long. May I request you all to please close your mics? May I request you all to please close your mics? Can the technical team close the mics of all?
It's okay.
Can the technical team please switch off the mic of all participants?
I don't know how to wear it now.
Go play now. Otherwise, they both will go after some time.
Hello.
Sir, you are mute. Sir, you are mute. Sir, unable to hear you. You are mute.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
Can you hear
sir.
me now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, children, please switch off your mic, please. Please switch off your mic. So I was talking about the impact of the COVID-19 and the lockdown. There were movement restrictions, loss of income, isolation, and overcrowding that have heightened levels of stress and anxiety in parents, caregivers, and children, and cut families and individuals off from their usual sources of support. To address this issue, the United Nations has set tackling child abuse globally as its sustainable development goal to be achieved by 2030. But the big question is, how do we achieve this goal in just less than 8 years from now? The consequences of child abuse is quite evident and need not to be reiterated. I would like to add that ending violence against children is increasingly within our reach. And it is this positive spirit that has guided us to come together today in hope to reach solid solutions to this kind of disaster. So, taking forward this discussion today, let me introduce our first speaker on the international webinar. I am greatly honored to introduce the audience to Dr. G. Hari Krishnan. If Dr. G. Hari Krishnan is there, kindly come on the screen, please. Dr. G. Hari Krishnan, BE, MTech, PhD, MBA, and MSc applied. He is also doing psychology from India. Dr. Hari Krishnan is currently working as principal at Holy Grace Engineering College, Thrissur, Kerala. He has completed MBA in marketing management and doctorate degree in communication and networking engineering. Dr. Hari Krishnan is also a postgraduate in remote sensing and wireless sensor networks with good communication skills. He was awarded with Distinguished Engineer for 2019 by an international professional society, Malaysia. Dr. Hari Krishnan is involved in several student-centric academic development and teaching programs based on effective teaching learning process. He is also involved in career guidance and mind-building counseling activities. Over to you, Dr. G. Hari Krishnan.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you for your kind introduction. So, warm good evening to one and all present here. I convey my best regards to the organizers and Sri Ongareshwar Pandey sir for the kind introduction about me. And it was a good session, like introduction, getting a detailed analysis about this ongoing subject that is child abuse. So, I think we can start the session. I plan this session to be much interactive as well as informative. So our topic of interest of today's discussion is child abuse. As you know the title, child abuse, this terminology or this concept has been evolved or it is prevailing for years back. Let it be from 40s or 30s or 20s, 1920 or 1940 till 2022. The subject is having a detailed impact on our social life, on our society. We can see in olden days, consider the transformation in our lifestyle. Now we are highly technically sound all over the world. This platform itself is a proof for that. We are able to connect globally, irrespective of the distance or time. At this time also, still, till this child abuse is prevailing in the country or entire globe. What is the reason? We can start with a question: why, when, how, then, where? Because everything should start from a question. Every day is starting with a question. Similarly, this concept, the title, that is the child abuse, has to be started with a question. Why child abuse is still prevailing in the society? How this child abuse has been started? What is the impact of child abuse on our society or on the social as well as physical as well as psychological life of a student? What are the side effects of child abuse? Are parents responsible for the child abuse? Are teachers responsible for the child abuse? Or the society itself responsible for the child abuse? So we have to start with all these questions. This question, I'm putting this question in front of myself as well as the entire audience who are present here. We have to ask ourselves this question: why child abuse still on till date, that is 2020? Child abuse is having a bad impact on our social life. So I had taken my backdrop, like every child is having a right to live, is having the right to express his or her happiness or sorrows or whatever it may be, the feeling. So it is a basic fundamental right of a human being a child, to get the support of the parents or the teachers from the society. So it is the responsibility of the teachers as well as the parents to ensure that whether the child is undergoing a safe journey of life transformation from their childhood to adulthood, from to their professional life and the career. So it is the responsibility of the teachers as well as parents. So who are all responsible? We can see 24/7, the entire world is working. Whether the sun position may the light will be changing, the dark side as well as the bright side, but entire world is working. So how we can monitor the child abuse? So who are responsible? Let's start from the beginning. Let's take the case of what are the different types of child abuses. Child abuses can be of different classification. It can be physical abuse.
Sir, you are.
Yeah, can you hear me now? Yeah. Actually, the admin may be muting. Now I am unmute. Okay. So we are having different type of child abuse, like physical abuse is there, verbal abuse, emotional abuse, psychological abuse, and then sexual abuse. Lot of abuses are happening. So how we can identify whether all these acts are abuse or not? How we can analyze whether a child will be able to understand whether he or she is undergoing an abuse? So first of all, the responsibility comes to the parents, and next the responsibility comes to the teachers. They have to monitor the child because they are only an infant stage, or the child age will be very low in order to understand the concept, or they are not in a position to identify what is right or what is wrong. So the parents monitoring is very much essential, as well as the teachers monitoring. Every day, a interaction with the student is very much, it is necessary. The parents have to know the day-to-day activity and whom all are involved in their social interactions also. How the child is interacting with others, who are all in the close knit of the child in the school, who are the friends, who are the teachers. Other than that, any other person is in contact with the child. So that observation is very much essential nowadays, especially in olden days. Parents are not much aware of these things because now we know in every house there is only one or two child. So more monitoring must be given, and there is a provision of giving provision for better monitoring also. Like we can take technical aids also. So while that interaction, the child may be freely opening up his or her mind with the parents, that their day-to-day activity. For example, we can take the case, a child is going to a school for LKG or UKG or kindergarten. Evening, the mother or father may be asking while having the dinner, "Hello, my dear son or daughter, how was your day? Can you please tell what are the activities you had?" So definitely they will be opening up her mind. Yeah, today the classes started by 9 o'clock, then we had this, that, and so who are your friends? They will be telling the name. Who are the teachers? How they are behaving to you? How the friends are behaving to you? What are the situation? How was your activities? So in detailing, we will be getting much idea about the social surroundings, the surroundings which they are undergoing in their day-to-day life. So while that, like that, the parents can make an analysis whether their children is in safe hand or they are in safe, that whether they are unknowingly facing any abuse, because most of the children don't know whether some touch or some actions are abuse or not. This must be analyzed by the parents by various questionnaire. There comes the understanding the psychology of a child. So the prima factor is the responsibility of the parents who have to be the sole responsible person in understanding or evaluating or analyzing whether their child is being abused or not. If you are very much concerned, definitely you must be in touch with your child, have a day-to-day conversation. If you are not, if the child is not in a free of mind to open up with the parents, definitely they are not going to understand whether they are undergoing any abuse or any problem. So that freedom of mind should be there. Then only that interaction will become much effective in the case of child as well as parent. The next stage, the responsibility come to the so-called teachers. They are the social builders, the future generation builders. So teachers are responsible to monitor that the students are safe in the school or colleges. So in the case of school, I think some mentoring activities are there. We are having the head of the institution corresponding to class tutors. Then we are having the mentors. So it is very much essential that the mentor or the teacher who is acting as the mentor must know a detailed understanding of the students, their activity, their day-to-day interaction, what are their characteristics. So if they are not able to study the student, how it is possible to prevent the abuse? So that allocation of mentor is very much essential in the school. So so-called mentor or the facilitator must understand or make a detailed report about each student, what are their activity, how they are behaving, what are the situations or what are the threat they are going to face. Then the next stage is coming to the front circle. In the front circle also, we must know who are all interacting with the child. And these are the type of abuses now we are going to see. The first one is the physical abuses. Physical abuses, normally we can see from olden days also physical abuses are being there. Like it can be any kind of physical abuse, like any physical tortures, whatever it may be. So there are a lot of, it can happen to some mental disorders also by the parents, by the teachers, by the so-called society, because the child is masculinely weak, physically weak due to their age. So when they are out of their temperament, the parents may be reacting in a wilder way, like beating, like any kind of physical torture, whatever it may be. But at the end of the day, it is going to affect the child. It is a kind of abuse, and there are several acts or norms preventing such abuses in current scenario. Many of the countries have stated like corporal punishment has been is banned in many places. So it's a serious issue, that physical abuse. Then comes the mental abuse. Mental abuse in the sense, if a student is feeling some mental shock or some situation where he or she may be having some mental trauma, it can be anything. For example, the husband and wife fighting in the home. So the child is seeing that the parents are always quarreling and there is some shocking action being taken place. And on seeing that, they may be getting a mental trauma, a mental problem will be there, like it will lead to depression also in long run. So that is a case of, I mean, the mental side, like the emotional or the psychological abuse is coming. And this threat can be always, can develop a fear factor among the student or among the child. And this fear factor can grow to beyond a level, creating to some psychiatric problem in long run of the student. So the child during his or her, I mean, parental age, or during the 30s or 20s, may be developing a psychiatric problem due to this emotional imbalance which has happened during the childhood. And the other case we can see, like abuses, sexual abuse. As our moderator sir has spoken regarding lot of sexual abuses being taken place, and he has mentioned that more female child has been exposed to these abuses, these kind of abuses. But I would like to add one more thing. Nowadays, irrespective of the gender, both male and female children are being exposed to sexual abuse. This is very much serious issue where they must be, I mean, this preventive measures or overall an awareness has to be made among the parents and teachers. So I think in the school curriculum or some like moral value based education has to be added. This is in India, we are having the new education policy being coming up, and overall many of the institutions have been imparting this value based education. So this value based education will be creating some moral values and among the students as well as teachers. So based upon this moral or value, they definitely won't be going to such kind of abuses. And if they're planning to do also, mentally they will be deviating because they're learning good thoughts and morals. So it is a problem of the mental state that they are involved or evolved into such actions. So that is another kind of abuse, that is the sexual abuse. So nowadays in newspapers or the news channels, we are seeing a lot of abuses are being taken place, especially the small kid being sexually abused by some of the other people, or maybe from her family itself. So this is a serious issue today, socially relevant as well as social evil persisting still in the society. And then the other kind of abuse is the emotional as well as the verbal abuse. A word, even a word or an action or a sign or an emotional expression can act as an abuse. We know that different type of like it is going to have a great impact on the social life of the student. We can see while they are entering, the children entering into their college days, during the teenagers, we can see many of the students are having a fear factor in their mind. They are not coming into the limelight. The main reason is that some force is there, which is binding them without coming into the forefront. The reason may be some fears. That fear had been incorporated from their childhood days due to some bad events which they are not able to express to their friends or family. So I think mentoring should be imparted in the school with moral value or value-based education. Thus, we can somehow, beyond a particular level, we can avoid such abuses which children are facing. And more or less, as I had mentioned in the beginning, parents, the sole responsible personalities behind the birth of a child as well as the grooming stage, they are also responsible. So they have to have a detailed analysis of their child in order to confirm that they are growing in a safe environment. And there must be daily interaction with the children, and the children must be in a free state of mind that if they are facing any abuse from the school or from the society or from the friends or from the neighbors, they must be they must express their their experience with the parents. Then suddenly the parents must identify whether it is an abuse or not. And now we are having lot of childcare numbers available, toll-free numbers in India, and I think many of the other government agencies in around the globe has been started an initiative for the welfare of children. So we must bring out such social evils into the picture in order to safeguard our children from such abuses in the future also. And my dear children, I think many of the students have been joined in this session. You must be aware about what is abuse and what is not abuse. And for example, if a person different type of like touches, like strokes, can be considered as abuse also. There are normal and abnormal way of touching, shaking hands, or hugging. Different ways of emotional exchange, like strokes, can be its generalized way. But beyond a limit, we have to set the benchmark that which is safe touch and which is unsafe touch. That is very much important, because during the infant stage or the childhood, the child may be knowing which is good or bad touch. And if he or she is undergoing such sexual assault or abuse from a person, that is going to create a trauma over his or her life. And such cases have now such kind of incidents are a lot of happening in a wide range globally. Especially we can see, take care, I'm from Kerala in India. Here a lot of cases is being coming regarding the sexual abuse, especially for the minor children who are being exposed to such cases. And we can see that nowadays the parents are very much lenient in the earlier days, because they may be a family with 10 or 5 children. So they are not giving one-to-one focus. So the children may be growing up themselves with interacting, and many cases we can see during the vacation time and all. A lot of children, directly or indirectly, they are undergoing this abuse, or maybe they are losing their life in some cases. And some of the psychological or emotional experiences will lead to, suicide also, because these abuses on a particular age is going to, like we know, actually we can take the example of a tree. When you are planting a small plant, we are pouring water, we are providing fertilizers, and we are nurturing that plant in order to grow into a tree. And when it becomes a tree, the roots are strong, it will be getting the water and all the food required for the tree. So like that, we have to consider our children. I mean, biologically or not, all are our children, the students, our children. We must develop that feeling, and we have to nurture them with all the vision, mission, and the requirement for a better, safe life in the society. And if you are nurturing like that, they will be developing a shield around them, and they will spread that nurturing tendency when they become a senior citizen or an adult to the next generation. If a person facing an abuse will definitely have a tendency to exhibit that abuse to another person. We can take the case of ragging. It is a kind of abuse in a college. When the seniors are ragging the juniors, definitely there will be a tendency inside the juniors that when I am becoming a senior, definitely I will be doing ragging to my juniors, because I have faced that situation. Similarly, a child who is facing an abuse will have a feeling that anyway I have been faced that abuse, or I have undergone that struggle. Definitely, it is a revenge that no one around me as a child should escape from this abuse. So actually, we are facilitating or developing an abuse from a child by providing him or her a child abuse. We can see a parent who is always beating, shouting, screaming, and emotionally harassing a child. And when the child becomes a parent, he or she may be having the same tendency towards her children to shout, to scream, to beat, and impart all type of emotional, psychological, physical abuses. Because he or she is learning during her childhood days that from their parents, whatever we are learning in our childhood days will be the main part of the food for the growth of the root of emotions. Like I have given the example of a tree. When it was a plant, we need to feed it with water. We had to feed it with fertilizer. We had to provide all the necessary requirement. And we are nurturing it actually. If we are not providing water during the hot sunny day, it will become dry. Like that, it is the responsibility of the parent as well as the teacher or the so-called mentors or the tutors to nurture the student, nurture the childhood into a safe journey of life, into a better responsible citizen for the country in order to get a good vision for the society. So there comes the importance of what I so-called mentioned, the value-based education, the moral values, the value-based education has to be imparted from the childhood. Because for example, we must develop some values ourselves, that what is the role of a parent. Parenting is one of the very much responsible role. If you are not ready to take the responsibility, better not to be a parent. It is a great saying. And the teaching is the we are known as the national builders. Teachers are the national builders, or they are the building the younger generation. They are grooming the younger generation. Children being in school or college, the time duration we can take, it is more compared to being with their parents after a particular age. So the impact of the teachers are the national builders, they are also responsible. So it is a joint venture by the parents and teachers in order for the nurturing the students to avoid such abuse. So as I mentioned, child abuse is a great evil which is still prevailing in the society. This terminology has been stated from long back when the world has been evolved from the so-called theory, the Big Bang theory. Still this abuse is being there. Everywhere an abuse is there. We can see a lot of welfare societies are working to prevent such abuses. The prima factor is that children must have the freedom of mind and they must understand what is abuse and what is not abuse. So if they are facing any abuse, it is their primary responsibility that they have to inform this to their parents and the teachers. And then comes the teachers or parents who have to make the solution for this abuse. And while selecting the friend circle, I mean the students also, or the children, we can see in some cases, we can see a person who is so elderly may be joining the group of child, and he or she may be providing some kind of abuse or assault. This is the case is that why they're considering children for abuse. Children are always the victim because they are weaker in the society. physically, mentally, emotionally, children are weaker. That's why we are telling children are so innocent. Now, in this meeting itself, we can see all the children were telling, "Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am," and that shows their innocence. That innocence won't be coming when they're growing up. So children are like flowers, or they are what we'll say, they are so innocent. So it is a tendency of human mind to tarnish, or to to always affect the innocent part, because they are weaker. They don't know what is right or not. When we are telling something, they will be definitely repeating the same thing. Children are having the habit of repeating. They are having good observational skill also. So this abuse towards children will be continuing in the coming years also. Till the beginning of world and till the end of this world, all these abuses will be there. So we can only control, or we can resist, or we can develop a shield among this abuse. How this abuse can be removed? It cannot be totally removed from the society. It is impossible. But what is possible is that we can resist ourselves by understanding or analyzing which is abuse or not. So the main thing I have mentioned, we have to get a close one-to-one communication and one-to-many communication in the classroom as well as in the home, irrespective of the busy schedule. Then only
Exactly.
the child or the student will be opening up a mind. Then only we will be able to analyze what is the existing problem of abuse, and we can rectify that. And we can see in the olden days, the abuse was a lot. Nowadays, with the development of technology and media, lot of abuses are coming into picture. Recently, I will tell some of the cases in India, in north as well as south. There are a lot of abuses being happening towards child, especially sexual abuse. And in olden days, also these abuses are being there, but it was not exposed. Now, with the help of this technology and media, we are able to identify and able to know all these abuses are there, and the law can be enforced or impart some action against such evil acts. So such cases in the coming years, we can expect some abuse in the terms of cyber abuse also. Now, as per the transformation, we are into a digital world. Everything is being digitalized and everything being technically updated. In the coming days, I am sure that we are going to face a very difficult time, especially regarding the cyber crimes. And cyber crimes can also be like we can see there will be lot of abuses for the children also. Like for example, lot of games will be available, and students will be or the child will be very much interested to play that computer or the video game with their mobile phone or the tab or the laptop, and definitely they will be evolving. And during these online games, or other than that, using the social media, they will be getting to touch with lot of people, and so they are getting a wider opportunity, and they don't know the person other side what he or she is actually in the society. And they will be interacting, and the parents may not be knowing what the child is doing, because all the time we are always with this gadget, so-called the mobile. And with the gadget, we are always we are not interacting with the other person, but we are interacting with a person with the help of this mobile phone or the computer. So in such cases, there is a chance of more abuse. We can see nowadays in the WhatsApp, lot of video calls are coming, and while doing the video call, initially they will be in a good harmony, but suddenly they will be recording that call, and it is a kind of sexual abuse. And they will be, it is kind of a trap. And after that, they will be telling that if you are not doing such kind of thing, I will be spreading this video or something like that. It's a current scenario,
Yes,
a lot of
yes.
honey trap. That case is known as honey trap. In India, and a lot of such cases are being happened day to day. WhatsApp call, then Facebook Messenger calls, Instagram, all these things. They are taking the video call, and they are actually doing the blackmailing. For we can take the case of a child who is very much familiarized with all these digital platforms from their childhood days. They may be also using, and for in the beginning of the teenage, due to their psychological changes, they may be getting attracted to the opposite sex, and definitely they may be undergoing such traps. And actually, I would mention the name, that trap. If they are initially they are doing the chat, they're becoming friends, and after that a video call is being done, suddenly it is shocking. It is a kind of sexual abuse. they will be recording all these things, and we must I mean, give an awareness about these digital traps among our students and children. It is very much
Absolutely,
important,
absolutely.
especially the
Yes.
college going students, and other than, and this is kind of trap. And for example, they will be asking when you will be free, when the parents, what are, they will be like, they will be knowing the details, trying to get the details of the of their family also from the children. As I have mentioned, children are a sign of innocence. They will be expressing all the things from their mind because they are innocent.
Dr.
They
Hari
don't.
Krishnan, Dr. Hari Krishnan, I would request you to please wind up in 1 minute.
Yeah, sure. So I would
Yes,
like, this is a situation, and so I would like to summarize all these things once again. We are having different types of abuses, like sexual abuse, physical abuse, psychological, emotional, and as I have mentioned, the cyber abuse also is being coming into picture. And the other thing is that the parents as well as teachers are having a very responsible role in order to prevent this abuse and to understand what is the real abuse, and to teach the student which is bad and which is good. So the next primary, the important role is that the child must have an interaction with the parents and teachers. He or she must open up their mind. So with all these things, I hope that we can prevent the so-called abuse. And by preventing and by building a chain against this abuse, definitely we will be in a position to eradicate this abuse from the world. So thank you for organizing such a wonderful topic for discussion. It is an so-called very much socially relevant topic. So as our Pandey sir has mentioned, it's time. I am winding up my session. So I once again thank all the audience and the organizers for providing me such a good opportunity to have an interaction with all of you, especially a lot of love to my dear students who have been joining in this session. So thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your valuable insight, Dr. G. Harikrishnan. You talked about various kinds of abuses, its reason, and also the impact on especially the psychological impact on the children. It was indeed an enlightening experience to hear from a great personality like you. You have been teacher and you have been teaching to the students community from all sections and classes. And I'm very grateful to learn from you, and I'm sure the audiences to have attained a greater insight from your words. How you have presented the scenario of the child abuse in India and in other places and the possible solutions to mitigate the problem is really, really highly commendable. The problem of child sexual abuse is deep rooted. Rape is the fourth most common crime against females in India. Childhood sexual abuse proves our country is full of pedophiles that want nothing but to exploit every child they see. People who have taken advantage of someone's innocence, they are nothing but pure monsters, some of which lie in their own house, schools, neighbor, or in surroundings. Most of them are very well known to the victim. So before I move to the next guest speaker, I would like to quote some important data regarding the child abuse. In the United States, the estimated lifetime costs of child maltreatment occurring in 1 year were estimated to be 428 billion US dollars. And in East Asia and the Pacific, this cost was between 1.4% to 2.5% of the region's annual GDP. But we all know that the real cost of the child abuse is the loss of our humanity, empathy, kindness, and overall failure of the society. With these words, I would like to invite our next speaker. But before that, I would like to introduce him, Dr. Hussein Omidi from Iran. Dr. Omidi is educational planning expert in the Ministry of Education, Iran. Dr. Omidi is consultant and the head of Ilam Province Education Organization. He is a member of the Applied Science and Technology University. By profession, he is an elementary school teacher and translator of English, Persian, and Arabic And also he's a Quran teacher, instructor, translator, interpreter, and also a reciter. So Arabic language and literature instructor at high school and institutions, English translator, Arabic translator, Persian. So he is a dynamic personality and also a member of the High Council of Quran. Dr. Omidi is physical education teacher as well. He's a black belt in Taekwondo, field protection, repatriation clerk in the United Nations High Commissions for Refugees. And he is also a member of the editorial board of the Vice, an international research journal, and a member of the editorial board Shodh Drishti, an international referred research journal. Over to you, Dr. Omidi. Dr. Omidi, can you hear me? Dr. Omidi, can you hear me? Can another person hear me?
I hear you. Yes, I hear you very well.
Yes,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I would like to invite Dr. Omidi for his deliberations.
Okay, in the name of God,
Dr.
the most, yes, in the name of God, the most compassionate, the merciful, I'd like to thank everybody who's participating in this webinar. And just
Dr.
I'd like,
Omidi, Dr.
Yes.
Omidi, may I request you to please adjust your camera and please keep your face in the center. Your head is cutting in the camera.
just, is it better now?
Yeah, a little better. Yeah, this is better. This is better.
Give me a second. Is
Yeah,
it
this is
okay
much
now?
better. This is
Okay.
much better. Now you are in full view.
Okay, in the name of
Yes,
God,
please
the
go ahead.
most,
Yes.
in the name of God, the most compassionate, the merciful, I'd like to thank everybody, people who are present in this webinar, especially the organizers and the moderator, Dr. Beatrice, and the rest of the people who are giving me this opportunity to be a part of, let's say, this wonderful gathering in general. Just I'd like to add that I'm working as the Deputy Director of Scientific and International Cooperation and Communication at the Farhangian Teacher Education University in Iran. And we have 97 campuses around the world, around the country. Iran consists of 31 provinces, and we are in the central office in Tehran, dealing with more than 90,000 students who are, let's say, let's say, will be trained as teachers. And every year let's say, we introduce something like 30,000 teachers, official teachers to the Ministry of Education. So that was just for clarification. And secondly, today, really, I want to thank the previous speaker who taught me a lot of things, and I want to appreciate him once more. Thank you so much, sir. I learned, and he just helped me, because now I don't want to talk about the details, because he gave us whatever we needed in general. Today, my lecture, my presentation will be mostly focused on literature and child abuse. But, and I want to introduce few 21st century novels who are dealing with child abuse in general, and many types of child abuse, let's say, and categories, and child neglect. So, but before that, I would like to, let's say, to open the presentation this way, that according to the WHO, approximations of the rates of child abuse and child maltreatment fluctuate extensively by country, subject to how they are demarcated. The type of abuse and maltreatment exists. The scope and quality of data gathered and the surveys and surveys that ask for self-reports from victims, parents, and caregivers. While the numbers and statistics are easy to formulate and even grasp, there is an underlying quest that punctures the very soul of mankind. Describing cruelly against another is a simple yet appalling matter. It's really not easy to talk about this topic, and as some of the audiences are really children, so really I have to be so much aware that I have to be careful, but what can I do? It is a reality of human existence and of life that is routinely accepted as normal. Perhaps that is where the real problem lies. We have been indoctrinated and desensitized to the actual evil that this problem demarcates in human society. It is an unspeakable abolition taking place routinely, as if normal, with few questioning its legitimacy and destructive force on the most innocent ones amongst us, children, I mean. It is nothing short of blood, libel, and human sacrifice to the gods of evil that the children of the world are being subjected to. Much is written of the sacrificial rituals is sacred text to false gods, such as Baal in the Bible, for example. Those wicked ones have not been vanished yet, and they are existing, living among us, unfortunately, and continue their lust for the innocent blood and terrorization of innocent souls to continue their influence on humankind, even in modern times. So there are several forms of child maltreatment, as my dear friend and the previous speaker mentioned, comprising of physical, sexual, psychological, and emotional abuse, as well as neglect. Physical abuse of a child is when a parent or caregiver causes any non-accidental physical injury to a child. Some signs of physical abuse are striking, kicking, burning, biting, hair pulling, and the rest. So regarding the other types of child abuse, treatment, I think some people are interrupting me. Would you mind just unmuting your, please, would you mind unmuting your, Dr. Gracie?
May I request to mute the audience? I don't know how this sound is coming.
Yes, and please remove because there is somebody in the main picture. So
I think these people should be either removed from this, they're continuously.
Yes, thank you so very much. When a parent, I was telling you that when a parent or caregiver harms a kid's mental and social development or causes severe emotional harm, it is emotional and psychological abuse. And unfortunately, nowadays, most of us, we are involved in such kind of abuses. We are not aware of that. We have the commission and omission when we are supposed to do something to the children, which is a part of our duty as a human being and as a caregiver, as a parent, as a responsible person. And we, let's say, don't do it. It will be a kind of abuse. Sometimes we are supposed not to do something. For example, to interrupt somebody when he's talking, a child, it will be, again, an abuse. So these children, really, they cannot defend themselves. Society must confront the enemy that is pursuing the most innocent amongst us. Each child that is destroyed is a gain to the evil regime among mankind today. That regime takes all forms. Some reveal themselves as societal norms that permit people of all background to freely partake all of the forms of negative energy. Some in the form of, pornography, drugs, homosexuality, unnatural desires that rob people of their divine essence one separating humankind from the animal kingdoms. If not, the consequences will be grave, and the number of souls lost will be countless. Allah will call to account each one of us for this tragedy. Be sure that we will be questioned severely, and we are responsible not just after our death, now and today, and will suffer if we, let's say, will be punished if we don't, let's say, take action and, let's say, support our beautiful children all over the world. We who have knowledge and wisdom are entrusted with this fight against evil during the last days. It has taken millennia to acclimate us to this reality as normal, but it requires a mass awakening in humanity to address the problem and fight the battle to save our children. This abuse may start subtly and escalate into outright torture to an innocent, helpless child, as described, let's say, by my friend, my wonderful, let's say, friend. We must all be aware of the signs and intervene before they escalate. So we have to stop it from the very beginning, from the early stage. We need to, let's say, to study every single case carefully and take action. So moving towards emotional abuse, we can say that it is a pattern of behavior that causes damage over time. Psychological and emotional abuse can include rejecting or ignoring, telling a child he or she is unwanted or unloved, showing little interest in child, not initiating or returning affection, not listening to the child, not validating the child's feelings, breaking promises, cutting child off in conversation. So we have to be careful when children talk. Please just be silent. Be silent. Listen to them carefully. We're not supposed to shame them, shaming or humiliating, calling, let's say, the child names, criticizing, belittling, demeaning, berating, mocking, using language or taking action that takes aim at child's feelings of self-worth, terrorizing. You know, the society is not just a big place, a large country like China or India or the United States of America. No, we just start our society with 2 people, 3 people, a family. And when the children are there, so we have to be much more careful. Terrorism, it's not just about a ISIS or, I don't know, big terrorists or names in the world, let's say political names. No, it's a start in the houses. So accusing, blaming, insulting, punishing with or threatening abandonment, setting a child up for failure or manipulating them can be a big weakness, which shows the unfortunately the devilish or the evil nature of the mature person who is dealing with children. And so let's I don't know how much time do I have. Sir, how much time do I have? Can you hear me?
You can speak for 3 minutes more.
Oh God. Just so I
Or
lost
if you
30 minutes?
want to wind up, if you want to wind up, you can wind up. If you want to summarize, you can.
But I did not talk about literature yet. Anyway, time is running so fast. I'm not a lucky man in this regard. Anyway, so one of the most pervasive and damaging abuse to a child is that of perversion and sexual abuse. So I will not talk that much about it because of the audiences. Anyway, currently the study of child abuse is limited to the concept of humans as simply as higher form of animal with actions resulting from very basic elements of nature versus nurture. It has been proven that even a child raised by the most loving parents in the most suitable and nurturing environment can grow up to become a corrupt person, committing horrendous crimes. So what is the reason for this? We have to think about this question so deep. Why? We must delve deeper into the human condition to answer those questions, especially this one. This is where the reasoning of God becomes mandatory, that we may not be deceived. Child protection is a duty to all, as I told before. So, and more so, a concern for other social scientists who contribute to the understanding of the concepts of and strategies in child protection, and the responsibility for adults and institutions with roles in ensuring the safety and the human care of children under their care. Child abuse is complex and difficult to study. So I will stop talking, and I'd like the, sorry to be so explicit, because the topic that I wanted to talk was somehow sensitive. So I want the organizers and the mandator next time when you invite me, please, to, let's say, to invite somehow. I think it's better not to open, but you got the message, because now I stopped, I censored many things. So thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Omedi, for your insightful words. Your views are highly valuable, and the potential solutions are very, very realistic and achievable too. You have highlighted some crucial facts regarding the problems of child abuse. It was indeed very inspiring listening to someone like you who is working so closely with the society and children also in Iran. Child abuse or child maltreatment is a terrible epidemic nowadays. Every section of society faces it. Child abuse means an act that causes injuries, death, or emotional harm to a child. There is a lot of form of child abuse, as our earlier speakers talked about, such as sexual abuse, physical abuse, or emotional abuse. But neglect is the most common form of child abuse. Now, I would like to invite our both the speakers for a couple of questions. I would also request the audience, if they want to ask any questions, they can ask. I have already got a couple of questions, and I think I can start with one normal question from Dr. G. Harikrishnan, that why do you think this is increasing in the recent years? Is it because of the COVID lockdown? Is it because of economic reasons? Or what are the reasons? Why? And if we see the data, the most child abuse cases are happening in the country like America, which is a very, very advanced country, which is a very, a country which is progressive, and the economic reason also could not be there. So why it's happening? What do you think? Dr. G. Harikrishnan, please. Can you hear me, Dr. Harikrishnan? Is he there or has he left? Can we see him? Or would you like to reply to this question, Dr. Omedi? What do you think is the basic reason for, increase of such cases? Is and this is increasing in those societies which are very, very advanced. They're educated. Economic prosperity is there. So what is the reason? Is it psychological? Is it cultural reason? Is it our behavior which has become violent towards our children? We can see that there are cases of child tourism for pornography and for other reasons, and abusing, and sexual tourism is also rampantly is increasing. We can see, and do you find that the reach of internet in everybody's hands is also increasing such kind of violence against the children? What are your thoughts, Dr. Omidi?
Anyway, I myself, I don't see that there is a kind of a straightforward relationship between modernity and ethics, morality in general. And unfortunately, let's say research proves that. And whether we are experiencing nowadays in this wild world, that the more you are, let's say, involved with technology, with utilitarian systems, the materialism in general, capitalism, you are losing ethics. You know, in general, human being, we are in a big problem. Let's be, let's say, aware of that first. Second, let's be honest. I don't see modern countries as patterns to let's say, to morality and ethics. When we mention names such as the United States of America, even some European countries, you know, they are, yes, they live a highly qualified life. They have big universities, and in Europe as well, you know, but that doesn't prove that they have a better life than us. By life, I'm not talking about, let's say, material things, a car, new buildings. No, life is deeper than that. So that's the problem. We are away from God. We are away from morality. We're away from the real meaning of life. Spirituality is a big lack now. You know, a lot of money, billions of dollars are spent on what? On wars, on just pornography, on material things, just new cars. Now, if I tell you something, you may not believe me, but the truth is that sometimes a car is much more expensive than a human being.
Mm-hmm.
And we are spending all our life to have a car, to have a castle, to have, I don't know, something material. So that's a big problem. We need to change the philosophy. The concept of life is not what is happening now. We have to think everybody's just rushing, running, and following some crazy people who are calling themselves scientists, educators, I don't know, big people, you know, and they pretend that they are giving us ease and happiness and, let's say, what we need. No, now we have to sit down to think deeper. What is the real meaning of life? You see the statistics. Many people are killing themselves in the United States of America. Look at the statistics, read them. How many people are just having a family, a normal family, a man and a woman and a kid? So when we ourselves are losing going astray, so how can we treat our children? I'm so sorry because I come from a kind of a conservative society, and mostly my concern is spirituality in general, morality, ethics in life, and to find the real meaning of life. And I've lived in India, and I've seen that some people there, they're following the same, let's say, philosophy of life to know the real meaning of life. That's the big problem.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I want to add this, gentlemen, that we have to keep silent for some time. Think once more, rethink why we are living. What is happening to me? Then when I know that, I can see a child as a person holy, sacred, innocent, lovely, beautiful, and I must be responsible to treat that person as the most precious thing in life. And we are not just material, we are souls. Whatever you do, commission and omission, is because we neglect the souls. So I want to
There is
improve
one
them.
question from, I can see one question from Shruti Divedi. She has asked that effect of child abuse is long lasting in children's mind. How to help kids to overcome of it? Would you like to answer this question?
Yes, just would you mind repeating, because I could not get you, sir.
Yeah, she has said, Shruti Divedi, that effect of child abuse is long lasting in children's mind. How to help kids to overcome from it? How we can help the children so that they can come from this trauma of child abuse?
So, one of the main problems, anxiety, stress, fear, that really is a big problem in children, especially the children who have suffered from such kind of, let's say, experience in their life, got abused. So I suggest that we need to let them know themselves better and to help them to get close to God, spirituality, to know that, okay, we are human beings. And sometimes some of us make mistakes. And I don't say to forgive them, no, to go deep inside ourselves, to create a happy environment, more spiritual, more moral environment, to talk with them about God, to tell them that, okay, everybody is close to him, and he's the most powerful, and he's the most protective, and he's the most, let's say, lovely one. So I
Yeah.
myself, in such cases, I like to suggest to help them to get closer to God, and to tell them that, okay, everybody is connected to him and he's the most powerful. So he will protect you. He will protect us.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I can see there are several good people are also there in this webinar present, and I would like to request to some of them to say a few words, because every day we are not meeting online to discuss about such a very serious issue. I would like to invite Aditi Basu Roy to say a few words on this very important issue. And I would like to put a question given by Nivedita Sharma. Actually, we all in the society is becoming very materialistic. I think this is also one of the reason, and we also find shortcuts. Nivedita Sharma has said. What do you like to say, Miss Aditi Basu Roy?
Thank you so much for this opportunity, and it's wonderful to be a part of. I would request, and I've been requesting everyone to put yourself on mute. Please put yourself on mute. Okay, they have some have some general courtesy. All right, what we are, I think you can all hear me, Mr.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
We can,
Mr.
yes, we
Pandey,
can hear
it
you.
was a
Please
very
go
good
ahead.
session. And Beatrice, it's really, I'm honored that you have invited me. And it's a really honor for me to have having me here. And I've invited my children, my teachers to join here. And it's a real, and the session and the conduct of the session, everything was very nice. Even both the speakers were also very excellent. I should praise and appreciate on them all. And what, I was listening, and what I believe, because I've been working in this field from past 20 years, since the Nithari Kand, it's an infamous Kand happened in India, and it's a world infamous Kand happened in Noida. It's called Nithari Kand, and it's happened in Noida. After that, we started movement. So on protecting children from child abuse. And my school then was very near to this village, back to the village on the sector 31, Noida. So we started this movement of Chuppi Toro, break the silence. And I believe that break the silence at Chuppi Toro is one of the greatest way to make people aware and empower children. You know, we are moral, immoral, we are good, we are bad. After all, we are human being. And every human being is the highest form of animal. They become highest form of God, or they lean to and they become godly when they transcend themselves. After all, we all are animals. We have all the animal instincts. Okay, so we belong to the animal kingdom, not the plant kingdom. So when we transcend ourselves with education, with awareness, with spirituality, with morality, with values, with ethics, so then we become a better human being. Then we become godly. Some people become godly. They were the human being because of this. So
Yeah,
thing
that's
is
what
that
that's
only,
what Dr. Omidi was also saying.
yes,
And he
yes,
was
yes.
also saying the same thing. Since we have very short time today, so we'll be
Yeah.
just taking only a very short, comment
Yes, yes.
from you.
So
And I
my,
would like to
yes, yes, sir.
invite
Just
Aditi. I
1
would
minute,
like
sir.
to invite.
1 minute.
Okay,
1
okay,
minute, may
just
I?
wind up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my thing is that what the Dr. Omidi and Dr. Ramakrishnan said, that that the first thing is that awareness campaign, making students, making children, making everybody aware. And second thing is when people are empowered and aware, only they can fight for themselves. You cannot fight for anybody unless they fight for themselves. Children should be taught to fight for themselves, to stand up for themselves.
Yes.
That's what. Thank
Very
you so
true.
much.
Very true. Thank you so much. Before I request Regin to say a few words, I would like to request Professor Dr. Mohit Verma from MIT University, Noida, to say a few words on this topic. This is a very important topic, Dr. Verma. And since you have been, very close to the medical student and, psychology, all these three subjects, I think your comments are very, very important. Dr. Verma.
Yeah, thank you very much, dear Dr. Omkareshwar Pandeyji, and to organize wonderful, you can say, the webinar on this issue. You can say the data, it is alarming data, and with respect to this COVID pandemic data, it is more alarming than the, you can say, the previous data. So what we observe that we at MIT University, I represent the MIT University here. We have a very, you can say, the wonderful 24/7, the
Yeah,
ACGC.
for those from outside who are not aware about the MIT University, I would like to inform that MIT is one of the largest universities, not only in India, but also globally. And Dr. Mohit Verma represents to that university in a very, very senior position. Yes, please go ahead, Dr. Verma.
Thank you very much. I am Dr. Mohit Verma, Professor Dr. Mohit Verma, the director of the MIT University headquarters in the sector 125 Noida. So right now we have 11 universities, state private universities in India, and the 18 campuses, the full-fledged campuses, the owned by us in different foreign countries. It is right now the MIT University. It is more than 25 billion US dollar company, or you can say the non-profit group. Because whatever we earn, we spend on this thing. Yes. And the MIT Humanity Foundation.
So if I just ask one liner, that what will be your suggestion? How, as a society, we can play a role to stop the menace of this child abuse, which is spreading everywhere in every society? What will be your suggestion, Dr. Verma?
Sir, the one suggestion which I generally share with each and every student when they come to us for the counseling and for the other thing, for the students part, or you can say, every student should be taught that their first and the last friend, the mother and the father, the parents, and for the parents, that your first friend is your child.
Great.
Treat your child
Thank you so much.
like your friend.
If they treat their parents as their first friend, then they will be able to tell everything. And if they are able to tell everything, then a lot of solutions, a lot of problems will be solved. So I would like to now request Miss Regin, who is passionately and sincerely listening to our discussion. What do you like to say, Miss Regin? And kindly introduce yourself also briefly. Yes, Miss Regin, please go ahead.
Yes, yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, of course.
It's okay. I'm a psychologist, and I work at my office with clinical psychology.
Which country? Which country? Which country?
I'm from Brazil.
Okay, great.
About this topic.
Then I have a question for you. I
Okay.
read somewhere, and maybe sometime, the media reports are all not always right. So I would like to ask you, is there any cultural reason that some people think that children are their own property and they can do anything with them? Is there some kind of psychology is there behind this drastic increase of, because if we talk about America, we also have to talk about India and Brazil, which are the number 2 and number 3 countries in the cases, child abuse cases. So why this is happening in India, in Brazil? How do you see particularly in Brazil?
That's a good question. I don't know. I think that I'm not able to see to talk about all the reasons. I don't know, but I see in my office it's about the education, the adults' education. The adults were children, of course, and when become adults, it's I don't know if this is the correct word about the repression, sexual repression, sometimes or many times. I think it isn't a team. It's not talk in the families, with the schools. I think it's very hard to talk about when people say about sexuality or education or parents, family. It's very hard. It's a very hard topic to say. I think the parents feel shame to talk about her kids, and the kids are growing with this like it could be a secret, a big secret. And when they become adults, I think my English is not so good to say about
No problem. I think you have conveyed whatever you wanted to say, and we understood, and I understand that. So thank you so much for giving your valuable, inputs in this very important discussion. I think this is first of its kind that India and Brazil people are face to face meeting, thanks to technology today, and especially the internet, because we are discussing this subject. I think Dr. Omedi was really a little bit, I would be agree with him that the spirituality and the fear of God is uh, one of the reasons which has gone from us, not the education, because you can see the America, it's all educated society, and we have not seen any data that this is happening only in the uneducated people. This is more happening in the educated society and also empowered society. They are not economically very backward. So these questions are not there. The question is, what is our mindset? We have got everything. We have got education. We have got a good lifestyle, but our psyche is something, a very abusive towards our own children. And I could see in one of the websites, and I would like to quote that Mr. Ellen Burstyn. He has said there was no such thing as child abuse. Parents own their children. They could do whatever they wanted. This is the kind of psychology people have. So this is more of a psychological behavior of the people, how they think about the, society, children, and their own children. So if there is any comment from any person, if you would like, Dr. Omidi, if you would like to say something, yes, please unmute yourself.
Yes, just I would like to say finally that I insist that child protection is a duty to all, and more so a concern for other social scientists who continue or contribute to the understanding of the concepts and of the strategies of child protection and responsibility for adults and institutions with roles in ensuring the safety and the human care of children under their care. Child abuse is a complex and difficult topic to study. I'm just repeating this because everybody just comes and says something and goes. No, it's much more complicated than that. Perhaps child abuse, the most pronounced evidence of humanity gone astray. This is the problem. We don't know what we are talking about. I'm not talking about myself or you, the whole world. It demands our concern and earnest efforts to eliminate the suffering of so many innocent children. More importantly, it should open our eyes to the true nature of humanity. In a time where God is absent from the lives of the majority, let us shine our light not only on the tragedy of child abuse, but also on the tragedy of losing our path as children of God and of light. Let our light shine in our hearts that it may illuminate those who suffer throughout Islamic history and the Eastern history, which I'm proud of being a part of that. And in its literature, the rights and responsibilities concerning kids are obvious. If we go through our books, our tradition, we'll see that we were loving our children the most, and we are taking care of them very well, even though we are not that educated. Most of those responsibilities are compulsory. It's a must. We have to know that. It's a must. We have to take care of children. There is no doubt. On the doomsday, God will question adults about the treatment of their brutes. God has provided all we need. We have everything. It is within our true nature to step up and answer the call to save the children of the world. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your real, insight and enlightening words. Mr. Maria, would you like to say something? Ms. Maria Emila? Would you like to say something? I think one of my friend Mohammed was there from Dhaka.
Mr. Pandey, Dr. Maria Emilia doesn't speak English, so I will ask her if she wants to ask something. Doutora Maria Emilia.
If she wants to ask, yeah. Yeah, please.
Doutora Maria Emilia, a senhora quer fazer alguma pergunta?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
Okay, she doesn't have a question, but she's thanking everybody for the great webinar. Sir, Pandey, I have a question, can I?
Yes, please. Yes, please. Go ahead.
Okay, I would like to Dr. Hussein Omidi about pornography. I would like to know how much this contributes for the cases of abuse around the world. What percentage this is have the contribution for these bad things?
Mr. Omidi.
Yes, of course, there is a straightforward connection between pornography and child abuse. First of all, we are abusing somebody, human being. A woman or a man is not just a material thing, not just a corpse or a body, it's a soul. So even if we try to use or abuse somebody, showing their body to gain money or pleasure, this is a big humiliation of human body, a human being in general. Secondly, if that person is a child, it's a big crime. It's unforgivable. Unfortunately, statistics says that in the United States of American countries such as Netherlands, 90% of pornography movies are produced there. And those two countries are called modern countries. And that's the big problem. 90% of all the, let's say, such kind of crimes are done there. So, so I gave you that statistics, and there is a relation, straightforward relation between that type of crime, pornography, I call it crime, by the way, okay, and child abuse. And don't forget that, who are the viewers? Children themselves, they may get exposed to viewing such kind of, let's say, crimes, such kind of actions, and they will be abused again through that. The pictures they see, whatever they are supposed not to see, are exposed there. So it's all causing problems. Yes, thank you.
Very true, very true. I think the time is over and we should wind up this discussion today. I would like to quote Nelson Mandela, who has famously said, "The true character of a society is revealed in how it treats its own children." In the light of the above quote, I would like to put a successful conclusion on this international webinar, attended and graced by participants from various parts of the globe. It may take years for us to recover financially and emotionally from the devastation caused by COVID-19. There could even possibly be an increase in the number of homicides and violent assaults to much more than their pre-lockdown levels. A return to school and work may reduce the stress on parents, caregivers, and children and reinvigorate their social support system, and thus lessen the risk of children experiencing and witnessing abuse in the home. Many countries have some mechanism to support national violence prevention work, but few have plans that are fully funded and include measurable targets. But perhaps what's really the need of the hour is an introspection at the most personal and individual level that allows us to lead with light, kindness, empathy when it comes to our children. Perhaps all we really need to do is just listen their voice, listen their sufferings, and listen their voice. And I'm very much optimistic that our coming together like this to address this global issue has empowered us and armored us to face this kind of disaster and address the issue relevant to each country. Thanks a lot for your virtual presence. I would like to especially thank both of our speakers, especially Dr. Hussain Omidi from Iran and Dr. G. Harikrishnan from Thrissur, Kerala. And I would like to thank Dr. Beatrice for giving me this opportunity to conduct this webinar. And I'm thankful to all our participants, especially Dr. Professor Mohit Verma and Aditi Basu, Ms. Rejain, and all. I can't take the names of every individual. I'm sorry, but I'm really thankful to you all for participating. That at least it will be creating, some awareness among ourselves, and we can spread the word. We can play our roles. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Would you like to say something, Ms. Beatrice?
Okay. I would like on behalf of Dr. Beatriz, I would like to thank everybody who participated in this webinar, so important, so insightful. And I would like to thank you, Mr. Pandey, for your inputs and your intelligence that was incredible in this topic. You were so sensitive, you treated everything with so much respect, like Dr. Hussain too, and Dr. Hari Krishnan. Thank you very much. And I would like to say everybody that who participated that the certificate is available in a link that we are leaving here in the chat. So if you fill in the form, you are going to receive your certificate. Thank you very much, everybody who watched it, and thanks for all. It was incredible. Thank you very much.
Before signing off, I would also request all the participants to leave their numbers or the email IDs so that the organizers could connect again. And I can see that Beatrice is again present there, so I would request her to say a few words. Miss Beatrice.
Eu gostaria que tu falasse algumas coisas.
Pode falar o que tu pensa aí.
Beatriz is here, as I told before. She is inviting everybody for a next webinar about the topic because she is very satisfied and she's so grateful for everybody who participated.
E pelo que eu vi hoje, nós precisamos trabalhar muito com os pais, né?
As we could see today, we really need to speak more about that and to work with the parents about this topic. So the more we talk, the more people will be awareness of everything. So she's thanking a lot, everybody.
So I would request the technical team to keep the this webinar on for 2-3 minutes so that everybody can send their mobile number or email ID which you can collect. So keep it on for 2-3 minutes and let the people give their, and this is now open forum. If anybody has any suggestion, the webinar has formally ended. If anybody has any other suggestion, if they want to, you can, switch on the mic of every individual. So if somebody wants to informally, this is a kind of, we can say, online get together. So if somebody wants to say something, they can say, it's an open forum now. Thank you so much. Thank you, Beatrice. Thank you.
Thank you.